Yo, hello, what is up, you guys? Vicen back here with a brand new video. So today we're going to be talking about Sword and Shield booster boxes. So as you guys know, they have been dropping. So if you guys have been keeping up with the market, prices for these boxes have been coming down, but not by a huge amount yet, right? So the reason I say yet is there could be a likelihood that we could see a bigger dip on these boxes, but they're not going to crash. For example, Fusion Strike, a few months ago, so like maybe a month and a half ago or something, you were able to find them for like under 300, so probably like 250, 260, or something like that. We're not going to be seeing prices like that or lower, right? So obviously, I pulled up 5 booster boxes from Sword and Shield that I would say, if you're looking to buy Sword and Shield booster boxes for the long run and you're looking for basically the best of the best, this is my opinion. So Evolving Skies, back then I used to say Chilling, Fusion, and then Lost Origin, but I mean Evolving Skies, Fusion, and then either Lost Origin or Chilling Reign, and then Brilliant Stars. This is just my list of top 5 mainline sets for me personally. And if there's a deal on them, definitely something to pick up. So obviously for Fusion Strike, market value on them was 490, pretty much close to 500. We were seeing sales at above 500, and apparently, people were picking up boxes for 550, 600 locally. So there's that. And obviously Fusion Strike is currently sitting at 456 right now. So obviously we got a little bit of a loss right there. Not much. Lost Origin was sitting at 390 and it came all the way down to 350. Evolving Skies, we're not really seeing much, but Evolving Skies was, like, I think a couple days ago at like 1407 or something, and it came down to 1379, so not a huge dip. And Chilling Reign, this one was at 342 and now is at 340. I could have sworn this was a little higher. I thought it was close to 350, but yeah, not much of a huge drop there. Brilliant Stars, this was at 292, came down at 282, so not a huge dip there. But Lost Origin and Fusion, these two boxes, I kind of figured would come down a lot more quickly, or, in a more substantial number than compared to other boxes, because these just rose up so quickly. Like, they went up extremely quickly, and they were breaking new highs. Like, literally, Fusion Strike, like, just out of the blue, went from like mid 200s all the way close to 500, right? So essentially double, like, instantly. Lost Origin, these things were literally like, yeah, they were like 240. Literally, locally, I was seeing a bunch of them for like, 210, 215, 220. And then all of a sudden, the cheapest ones I can find are like 350 and, 350, 360, close to 400, you know. So for these two boxes, I kind of figured. And even Evolving Skies, I was thinking Evolving would come down to like low 1300s, but the fact that it's still holding at this high price, really speaks volumes to the set. But I mean, we do have a listing up here at 1350, and if we scroll down, yeah, we have a 1350, 1380. Okay, yeah, so pretty much there isn't a whole ton of them that are below market, so chances are this is probably going to stagnate like anywhere from 13 to 1400. But keep in mind, Evolving Skies was one of those sets that was reprinted, but it wasn't hit with like a crap ton of reprints, right? So it's not a set that got hit hard like Fusion or Chilling Reign or, Battle Styles, all those sets. Like, it did get a reprint, believe it or not. Even though we're seeing like an insane price, believe it or not, it did get a reprint. It's just because of the demand it had, the hype, and obviously the chase cards, it was bound to just completely skyrocket and just reach new highs. That the price, because it came down to like what, low hundreds, like 120, 130 or something. And those prices lasted for like a week. And then afterwards it went to like 150, 160, and it just kept climbing and climbing. And the previous high was like low 200s, and then it ended up reaching like mid high 200s, right? And then it was kind of stagnating there for like a little bit of time, for I would say maybe like a month. I don't remember. I was able to find like a ton of them for like 270 to like 300 ish. But a lot of the ones that I was buying were around like 280. So it was there for like a good while, and then it went up to like a little above 300, and yeah, so on and so forth. So with Evolving Skies, this set as a whole, people, obviously I've made a video about this, and I'll probably make another one talking about it. It's just a super strong set that obviously the cheapest on CCG is $13.50. You could probably find some cheaper on eBay or maybe at a convention or locally. But if you're able to hold long term, Evolving Skies is definitely a box that you should pick up. Like if you don't have any position in Evolving Skies and you just want to go for like a huge position, like you don't want to go for the packs, you don't want to go for the ETB, you want to go for like the booster box, definitely go for it, because that's the thing. I'd honestly argue that Evolving Skies is better than Team Up, in my opinion. Who knows? That could be a hot pick. I don't know, but for me personally, Evolving, like I've mentioned before, just has the demand. Like Team Up has scarcity and it does have demand. It's just Evolving has the demand, like by far, like by like a substantial amount. Like I'm not saying that Team Up has nothing, but like what Evolving has to offer, and just literally a lot of people, like their dream chase card to own in like a PSA 10 or a black label is literally the Moonbreon. Like if you were to put the Latios and Latios in the Moonbreon, more times than not, people are going to pick the Moonbreon. Then you can say, oh, well, the Latios is more rare, this and that. But at the end of the day, I made a video talking about this. Demand is a huge component when it comes to a set not only going up but increasing like quickly, like having those like aggressive upticks. Demand really helps with that. So even though right now Sword and Shield is starting to come down, which it's natural, right? Things ran up like quickly. Like this wasn't like over a year time, like, oh, in a year went from 250 to, no, this was within like, okay, just to get an exact time frame, this was like within a month and a half. Yeah, this was like within a month and a half that a lot of these boxes went up by like 100%, or just something crazy like that in a month and a half, right? And I mentioned before that literally a year ago, boxes were not moving. Like literally in a month, they'd probably go up like 2%. Like literally nothing was moving, and if you guys, want to know, because I have like a very like large position in Sword and Shield, in the past, literally in the past week, I've probably went down a couple thousand, and a lot of my stuff is in booster boxes. I don't have weird products like collection boxes or stuff like, no, it's all booster boxes. The only mainline set that I have ETBs for is not Crown Zenith, Evolving Skies and Chilling Reign. I know Chilling was it's just back then, like I was kind of going through everything, and to be honest, Chilling is just a deep set that it kind of amazes me that it didn't run up to like 400 or something. That's what amazes me. But who knows? Maybe Chilling could be a sleeper set. Maybe later on, it could overtake Fusion or Lost Origin and be the number 2 highest price. I don't think Fusion Strike will overtake Fusion, but like maybe it might be able to overtake Lost Origin just because of the fact that Chilling is just such a deep set. So I don't know. And yes, I was looking at Fusion Strike ETBs. I didn't really pick any. Lost Origin, was one of those ETBs I was thinking about picking up too, but I think at that point I was just focused on picking up more 151, so I just kind of ditched that idea. So yeah, those are the only two mainline set that I have ETBs for. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. So yeah, obviously a lot of these were due for like a correction, but here's the thing. These prices, they're not going to come down to what, where they were before. I think like, once we hit a bear market, which I made a video talking about this, we could see in a couple months, who knows, but we are due for one. We are definitely due for one. It's really hard to say because Pokemon like has been like, doing very well when it comes to sets. Like they've been pumping out like some really good sets. Like it's not like we got 2-3 shitty sets in a row. Like no, we're getting really solid sets. Like pretty much Scarlet and Violet as a whole. Like I was sleeping on it when it first, dropped, right when base set came out. I was like, man, like Scarlet, I really hope this is, what we're gonna have. But obviously, it's natural. A lot of the base sets are just going to be trash. But once Paldea came out, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. But I couldn't really get into Paldea. Like I was one of those people. I was like, man, like I don't know. Like it's not horrible, but it's like I just focused my attention to Sword and Shield. I was like, I don't see it, right? And then I think the thing that really kind of like killed it off for me was Obsidian Flames, because like I was hyped because people were saying like, oh, it's going to be a Gold Star Charizard, and then we got that, we got that Crystal Charizard, and yeah, we already know where Obsidian Flames is. But then, hey, we had Paradox and Temporal, which I regret not picking up. Paradox, like I knew that set was a sleeper set, but I didn't pick up any. I don't know why. And I had so many opportunities to get booster boxes on eBay for like $5.90 a case, right? Temporal was one of those also that I could have picked up for 600, and I was like, like I couldn't bring myself. Like I was just sleeping on Scarlet and Violet, and now I'm like, man, like, hey, if prices come down for Temporal and Paradox, I'm probably gonna get a couple cases of those and not miss out this time. But hey, they've been on top of it. So in terms of market correction, who knows? Because Surging, Prismatic, the trainer set, people really, are liking Journey Together, obviously. And then, supposedly the next set is supposed to be Team Rocket. Then we have obviously the Black and White set, and apparently we're gonna have a Mega set. Like there's, all this speculation going around. So who knows? It could be a pretty stacked year, with all the sets they're dropping. So who knows? And then obviously we don't know what reprints, because keep in mind, the reason a lot of these Sword and Shield products and, a lot of the older sets like Sun and Moon, X and Y, they're not really making huge moves like we're seeing like with Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, is because a lot of people are focusing their attention now on Scarlet and Violet, especially because of Prismatic. That's one thing I will give Prismatic credit for, is it really drove just hype and demand to like Scarlet and Violet as a whole, because I guess, people were also sleeping on it, but obviously Surging started it. That's one thing. Surging did start that demand for Scarlet and Violet. Like, well, okay, technically speaking, it was 151, but here's the thing, 151 came out in a bear market. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Surging came out around the time that the bull market started to really pick up, and it just really brought attention to like all the sets from Scarlet and Violet. And people were like, okay, you know what? Like, a lot of these sets are like actually pretty solid. And then you had Prismatic drop, and that just completely, nailed the coffin. Just demand, hype, like everything just completely out the window. Just exploded everything. So I know it's a little bit of a tangent, but kind of explaining it. Who knows when it can happen? Maybe in these couple months, maybe in a year. So basically, maybe next year could be a bear market. We don't know. But the one thing for sure is we are due for one, right? And once we're in that market, it's really up to like it's really up to the hobby, the economy, like all sorts of things to really dictate how long we're going to be in it for. Because when I was buying a lot of Sword and Shield stuff, I was buying in 2022 a lot of it, and obviously I was buying Sun and Moon stuff like that, like in 2019, 2020. Even I would say a little bit in 2018. I was buying some X and Y, but I wasn't really huge into like selling sealed at 2018. But I was buying stuff, and markets were slow, things. But I would say like going into 2022, like mid 2022, that's when markets were just, oh my, like they were trash. Like Sword and Shield, like if even like with a lot of great sets, even Evolving Skies wasn't really moving a whole lot. And literally last year we saw that same thing, right? So all I'm going to say is once we do hit that market, like once we do hit that correction and we hit that downtrend, who knows how much further these boxes can come down by, right? Because like I said, Fusion and Lost like just completely like exploded out the water just out of nowhere. And Lost Origin was one of those boxes that kind of threw me off. Like I have like a bunch of cases of Lost Origin. Like I think it's one of my higher positions, in Sword and Shield. And then I would say, I think the second most would be either Evolving, Brilliant, or Silver. I think it's Brilliant Silver, but Evolving is like around that. But I have like multiple cases of those. And yeah, I know it's kind of weird that I literally have multiple cases of Silver and Brilliant, but not Fusion and Chilling. I know it's weird. I regret not flipping it around, which is what I was going to do originally, but I don't know why I didn't. Because I think like Brilliant, I don't know why Brilliant just like really like when I looked at the set, I was like, Brilliant's honestly like kind of slept on. It should be a little higher. But anyways, so Lost Origin was obviously like the last mainline set for Sword and Shield, and the fact that this became like the third most expensive box like really threw me off, especially because let's be honest, like the big chase card is the Giratina. And I know a huge chase card can really carry a set, but the fact that it was only one card, as compared to something like Chilling Reign that has multiple hits, even though they're not as quite expensive like the Giratina, it kind of like threw me off. I was like, man, like I kind of expected Chilling Reign to be like number 2 or at the minimum number 3, not number 4. But hey, still not bad. But obviously, coming over to here to Chilling Reign, pretty much like a lot of things are starting to downtrend. I mean, Evolving, probably tomorrow, later this week, we'll probably see that downtrend start to happen. But yeah, a lot of the top Sword and Shield boxes are starting to downtrend. Now, how much can we see them drop by? No one can really predict that. That's one thing, is anyone that's saying like, oh, they're going to drop at $300, or like they're very firm that they're going to come down, unless they have some insider info, like some crazy knowledge, or they came back from the future. Literally no one knows. People can only speculate, like just kind of give an estimate, like, oh, there's a chance they could come down, but like 100% confirmation, like yes, they will come down. No one knows. Okay, anyone saying that, oh yeah, they're for sure going to drop to this price without a doubt, don't believe those people. Do your own research, kind of, look at how markets were before, when downturns, did come, when obviously when we're trending downward, look how the market was, like kind of look at everything going on, because there's like a lot of different things that happen, for something to cause a downtrend. But obviously, looking at all these sets, I mean, Fusion, there's a very good likelihood it'll probably like drop down to like the high 300s, like maybe 370, 380. But like below that, I don't really see that happening. Maybe, but it's just the Gengar and the Espeon, they really do carry the set. Lost Origin, honestly, I could see this going for, dropping down to like 280, 300. Evolving Skies, it's hard to say because, like I showed the listings on TCG. It's not like there's 10 of them for 1320, or like, no, like after like what, like a few sales, like what, like 3 or 4, it ends up going to like the mid 1400s. So there's a good chance it might stagnate. Like it might drop below 1300. Who knows? But I feel like Evolving Skies isn't going to downtrend like a lot of these sets. I feel like Evolving is just going to be getting hit with stagnation. And who knows? It could go up, could go down a little, but I really want to settle for stagnation on Evolving for like a little bit, especially where the price is at right now. Probably a little bit of stagnation, but then it'll probably have another run later on. Chilling Reign, like I said, it's such a strong sign. To be fair, it didn't even drop, but I mean, lowest listed right now is 310. So who knows? I mean, most recent sales 280. So who knows? It could have the same, downturn like Lost Origin. Who knows? It could drop to like 300 or something, a little below that. Brilliant Stars, I honestly, see this coming down to like the mid 200s. Like basically we're surging it, so like 240, 240, 250, around there. So obviously, with all the prices that I've given, kind of my predictions, they're all still higher than what their previous lows were. So like with that whole, like with Fusion, for example, 370, 380, it's still higher than where it was before, obviously, 280, 300. Lost Origin, this was in the low mid 200s. The lowest it could drop to, it'll still be above, where it was before. Same thing with Evolving, same thing with Chilling, same thing with Billion Stars, so all I'm going to say is Sword and Shield has some, really good sets, like really stacked sets. And keep in mind, these sets are out of print. Most of them are out of that rotation. So just saying, with Scarlet and Violet, I know there's a whole bunch of sets, and with demand and everything, who knows how Pokemon is going to handle reprint. Who knows? They could just out of the blue just reprint every set from Scarlet and Violet, like do like a pretty decently sized. Who knows? We don't know. No one really knows, unless there's like some, someone's getting insider info or whatever, but literally no one knows what their plan is, because people are saying that apparently Paradox is not going to get a reprint, that Temporal may get a small one. Like there's all types of things, so we don't know, right? So obviously, if you're going to park your money, you want to park it in something that isn't going to be getting hit with reprints, especially during a bear market. So that's why, who knows, maybe Sword and Shield could be a buy, Sun and Moon especially, maybe even X and Y. For me personally, if I want to buy something that I could definitely liquidate, and still make like, a decent amount during a bear market, I would say probably Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield for me personally. X and Y, I mean, yeah, but it's like X and Y is like in a state where it's like, how do I put it? It's like the prices for a lot of boxes are all over the place, because there's not that many of them, but at the same time, I personally want to say like they have demand, but not the same level of demand as like Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, and Scarlet and Violet sets. Because a lot of even though X and Y isn't like, it used to be kind of an obscure era where people didn't really pay attention to it, but now they are. It's just the problem with X and Y is prices are all over the place. Like you might have one box up for 800, then it goes to 1,000, then like 11, then one pops out of nowhere for like 1050. Like, it's kind of like when it comes with prices, you don't really know like what a good price like is for, unless like let's say market price, for a box is 2,000 and you're getting it like below that, like you're getting it for 17, then yeah, that's a good price. But if you're someone that doesn't really know people that are willing to sell at that, because keep in mind that's the crazy thing, even though X and Y like moved a lot of those sets moved to like Roaring Skies, Primal Clash, Ancient Origin, stuff like that. People aren't even willing to let go of their boxes for below market, even at market. Like they're asking above market. Like they're very firm on their boxes. Same thing with Sun and Moon boxes. So who knows? Like let's hey, if people, let's say like I said, whales, like you have, because that's one thing that I will say helps. It's not something you need, but it does help, is having connections built in this hobby. So you can like sell to people, like you already have people in line that are willing to buy your product or whatever, as compared to someone that doesn't have any social media or really any connections of like you know big spenders in the hobby. Like that's the thing, you don't have to have social media, but it does help to like at least know some people in the hobby. So when it comes to moving product that is a little bit more like obscure, like earlier X and Y, black and white sets like that, it does help. you know so yeah, me personally, X and Y, honestly, I'm staying, unless like a deal comes, I'm kind of staying away from, because I don't know, it's just prices are kind of all over the place for X and Y. It's like a box pops up for like 3,500. Let's say on Phantom Forces, gets bought, pops up for 3,000, and then pops like, it's just kind of weird. Sun and Moon, it's starting to kind of get to that level for some sets, but it's not completely like out the gate for me. Same thing for Sword and Shield. The Sword and Shield still like, pretty reliable to predict the market. But when it comes to the boxes, they are obviously correcting, especially after like such like an aggressive increase. So that's why when it comes to buying a lot of these boxes, just be aware, like there could be a chance that, let's say you buy Brilliant right now for 290. Who knows? Maybe a month from now it could be at 280, 275. So that's one thing you kind of, that's one thing that's hard, you know, especially for a lot of people that have been doing this for years, is really knowing like where the bottom's going to be, because you don't know. You could buy a box and then it drops by 10% in the next like week, 2 weeks, or whatever. Or in the next month, it goes up 20% from what you bought it at. So that's just those are kind of my numbers where I see these boxes dropping to and stagnating. Evolving is just the outlier. Like I really don't see this box tanking. Like I get it, it rose like really quickly, and obviously like it's like almost in like the mid-1,000 mark. But like Evolving Skies, for what, like I've said, for what it has to offer, it's just something that I really don't see downtrending, especially like with the listings that are available, to buy on TCG, but obviously not including eBay, Facebook Market, all that stuff. So I don't know. I feel like it could tick down a little, but I feel like Evolving Skies is going to have the same graph like it did last year, where it's going to maybe drop a couple dollars, stagnate, go up a couple dollars, stagnate, kind of go like that, but basically just stagnating. Fusion, the rest of the sets I could definitely see having like a little bit of a downturn, especially because they did rise like very, very aggressively. And compared to Evolving Skies, especially like when it comes to the amount printed, yeah, I would say Evolving Skies has far less than the rest of these sets. And that's the thing. Maybe it did have the same amount printed as like some of these sets when it first dropped or when it got the reprint, but just because of that demand, like I've mentioned before, all that stuff got eaten up. All of that stuff got eaten up. So yeah, that's all I will say is for Sword and Shield boxes, they are starting to correct. Who knows? Maybe in the next couple of weeks we could start to see a little more of a higher downturn, especially because a lot of the attention is being focused on the Scarlet and Violet era. But hey, once we hit that bear market, really anything can happen. Maybe everything, falls off across the board. Everything's in the red. Maybe people go from Scarlet and Violet to Sword and Shield. We don't know. No one knows. But in terms of crashing, I don't see these boxes crashing, to where their, previous highs were or below that. I don't see that happening. If once they come down, they're still going to be higher than what you were able to get them for a month and a half ago. So, that's all I'm going to say. If you're someone that's, looking to get some position in Sword and Shield, hey, get ready, because, there's definitely going to be some deals in the next couple weeks, months, or who knows, maybe it's coming down right now and it goes up. We don't know, so that's all I'm going to say is, if you're someone that's going to buy and you're going to hold for the long term, you kind of have to look at where the prices are. You kind of look at how the markets were previously, how the graphs look before, when it would go up, down, how long it would go up for, how long it would be down for, lows, like kind of doing everything, how much it would be dropped by, how much it would go up by, how long it would be in that, state for. And then from there, just kind of make an educated guess. Okay, I can see the box coming down here. Once it comes down to that price, then I'll make a move. And hey, if it comes down lower and you want to get more of it, by all means go for it. But at the end of the day, if you hold it for the long term, you'll come out ahead. So obviously, like don't buy it like right now and expect like, oh, in the next year I'll double my money again. Like, no, you're like, all these boxes, if you want to see like a good rate of return, you're going to have to hold it for like at least a minimum of like 2 to 3 years from the time you buy it. For Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, like I said, they're still in the rotation, so we could see reprints for all the sets. Some sets we don't know. No one really has 100% confirmation that, oh yeah, there's no reprints coming ever for this set. We don't know. No one knows. So that's all I'm gonna leave it with when it comes to Sword and Shield. Prices aren't going to crash, but they are starting to correct a little. And like I said, once that bear market hits, maybe in the next couple months, next year, we don't know, Sword and Shield could come down a little lower, maybe start to stagnate. And hey, all I'm going to say is get ready to weather the storm, because it's not easy. It's not easy, especially if you're someone that has like pretty sizable positions where, let's say, stuff starts to drop and you start losing hundreds, thousands, like every week, every month or something. Yeah, it starts to hurt, but you can't give in, because trust me, it's going to be that same thing. Like, you sell off too early, or you sell off like, oh, I want to sell off before I lose more money. And then fast forward a year and a half, 2 years later, that same box you sold is now selling for double of what you sold it for or more. And then you're going to be sitting there like, oh man, I regret doing it. And then you wait for it to come down a little, you buy it, we hit a bear market again, and then you don't learn your lesson. You keep doing the same thing, you keep losing money. So that's how I'm going to leave it with Sword and Shield. Still, arguably one of the best eras, of Pokemon. Definitely has a lot of banger sets. So, obviously when it comes to investing, if you don't have many positions in some of these sets, hey, it could be your time now, or if you want, you could wait for some lower prices and then pick up a couple boxes. One thing I will say that I'm going to leave it with is, if you guys are buying boxes, try to buy minty boxes. Trust me, it will help you when it comes to selling. Okay, if you have a box where the wraps are like a little loose, or maybe a little, not perfect wrapping compared to a minty, but it's not like you're going to struggle to sell it. Yeah, you'll sell it, but I'm saying if you're someone that wants to sell close to, if not market price, or a little higher, it helps to have that minty box, because then people, they see that minty box, obviously collectors, and they're willing to pay, top dollar or a little higher to have like a minty box. It's the same thing with PSA cards. People are willing to pay a lot more for a PSA 10 than like a PSA 9 or whatever, because they want to just have that perfect copy. So that's all I'm going to say. If you're going to buy Sword and Shield boxes, try to pick up boxes that are minty, because it's going to help you in the long run. So anyways, if you guys did enjoy watching this video, please feel free to drop a like, comment, and a sub. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And with that, bye for now.